So today let's learn about amniotic fluid, all the details that you need to know about amniotic fluid. So firstly, let's answer the question that what exactly is amniotic fluid. So it is a protective liquid that is present in the amniotic sac in the uterus. Now it is present surrounding the baby, and you can say that the embryo is suspended in the amniotic fluid. So this blue outline you can see is the amniotic sac, and it is filled with amniotic fluid in which the embryo is suspended. Now let's see what amniotic fluid is made up of. The composition of amniotic fluid changes with time. That is, it is different in the early weeks and different in the later weeks. In early weeks, it is majorly made from the maternal component. That is, the mother's body contributes to the formation of the amniotic fluid, that is water and electrolytes. So it is mainly made by the maternal component. But as the fetus grows and it becomes more than 20 weeks old, the amniotic fluid is made up of mainly fetal component. That is, the fetus contributes majorly to the amniotic fluid composition. So now the amniotic fluid contains water, nutrients, uric acid, urea, creatinine, hormones, and antibodies. Now let's see how exactly is the amniotic fluid made. Now, as I earlier said that in the early weeks it is mainly derived from the maternal component. Now why is that? Now in the early weeks the fetal kidneys are not yet functional, so the fetus cannot make its own urine. So the amniotic fluid is majorly made from the mother's body, that is water and electrolytes. And we can also say that the amniotic fluid is identical to maternal and fetal plasma. Now also one major thing that is happens in early weeks is that the skin of the developing embryo is still not keratinized, so it is very easy for the amniotic fluid to diffuse through the skin and enter the fetus. But as the fetus grows and it becomes more than 20 weeks old, the kidneys become functional, so fetus starts producing its own urine. Second important thing that happens is keratinization. The skin of the fetus gets keratinized, because of which now its skin becomes impermeable. So the amniotic fluid surrounding the embryo cannot enter the fetus by diffusion as it used to earlier. Now, as the kidneys have become functional, the fetus starts producing its own urine, and this forms the major part of the amniotic fluid now. Now, you can relate why earlier I said that when it gets more than 20 weeks old, it is mainly fetal component and it contains, you can see, uric acid, urea, and creatinine. These come from the urine that the fetus excretes because now its kidneys become functional. Now, what is AMI? It is the amniotic fluid index. Now, as I earlier said, that the composition of the amniotic fluid changes with time, so does the amniotic fluid volume. During weeks 28 to 32, the volume of amniotic fluid is the highest. As you can see, from week 28 to 32, the amniotic fluid volume is approximately more than 2000 ml. But then you can see that it slowly declines. So we can say that as the fetus grows and it comes to an end of its growth period, we can say that the volume of amniotic fluid decreases. Initially it increases, it reaches its maximum, that is during weeks 28 to 32, and then starts declining. So at the time of the birth, the amniotic fluid volume is less than normal. Now, the major misconception that people have about amniotic fluid is that does the growing fetus swallow its own urine? Now, as I said earlier, that in the later weeks, as kidneys become functional, the fetus starts producing its own urine. This urine is excreted and it makes the major part of the amniotic fluid. And at the same time the skin becomes impermeable, so amniotic fluid cannot enter the fetus, but we need the amniotic fluid for the development of the fetus, so the fetus will swallow the amniotic fluid. So we can say that indirectly that the fetus swallows its own urine. So Yes, after 20 weeks, it starts excreting urine, which makes major part of the amniotic fluid, and also starts swallowing the fluid through the mouth because of keratinization, which makes the skin impermeable to diffusion. Now, how exactly is amniotic fluid eliminated? There are three basic mechanisms how this occurs. One is continuous bulk flow at the chorionic plate. Now, this chorionic plate is where the placenta forms. As you can see here, one part is contributed from the maternal side and one part is contributed from the fetus side. Here, due to some oncotic and hydrostatic pressures that are generated, some of the amniotic fluid may get exchanged. Next is by fetal swallowing, as I earlier said, because the skin gets keratinized, the amniotic fluid now enters fetus through its mouth, developing mouth, so the fetus swallows some of the amniotic fluid. And the third is the water break, that is during birth. Now, as the fetus is grown completely and it comes near to its end of growth period, the amniotic sac ruptures, and because of this the amniotic fluid starts leaking, as you can see here. So this is called as water break. Now these are the three basic mechanisms how amniotic fluid is excreted. Now what are the functions of amniotic fluid? It helps in the development of lungs by helping in stretching the airways. It also provides fetus with the protein proline, which helps in making the connective tissue in lungs and in general helps in the development of the lungs. Next is it helps in the digestive system development, and the most important is that the amniotic sac provides room for the fetus to grow. Now if there is less amniotic fluid present, it is also called as oligohydramnios. It is a condition where there is less amniotic fluid present, because of which the growing embryo does not get enough space to grow, and it can lead to compression of the limb and it can lead to some deformities in the growing fetus. So amniotic fluid gives room for the fetus to grow. It provides cushioning for the fetus, so whenever there is more pressure exerted or there is some accident something, so the amniotic fluid that is present will provide cushioning for the growing embryo. It also has bacteriostatic action. This is a very unique property of the amniotic fluid. It helps in fighting infections that may spread in the amniotic fluid itself, so it has bacteriostatic action. It also helps in maintaining constant temperature for the embryo to grow, because that is a very important thing, that the embryo needs a constant temperature for its growth. And it also stops the umbilical cord from squeezing. It prevents the squeezing of umbilical cord because it provides enough space. So these are the main functions of amniotic fluid which you need to know. Now, if there are some abnormalities in the fetus, they can be detected through amniocentesis. Now, when there are some certain anomalies, there are certain proteins that are secreted from the embryo or the fetus in the amniotic fluid. So what happens in amniocentesis is that a needle is inserted through the abdomen in the uterus, where a small amount of amniotic fluid is taken and then it is examined, and if certain proteins are present, then certain diagnosis can be done based on its presence. So it is a very important parameter that helps us in diagnosing a lot of different conditions. Now the anomalies related to amniotic fluid, the two major ones are oligohydramnios and polyhydramnios. Oligohydramnios means there is less amniotic fluid present. Now if there is less amniotic fluid, as I earlier said, that it will not provide embryo with enough space to grow, so it can lead to limb deformities and many other deformities. And polyhydramnios is when there is excess amniotic fluid present. I will discuss about these two abnormal conditions in my next videos. So this was all about amniotic fluid.